Hi, I'm Rob, a Washington, D.C. tour guide. I'm here outside the Washington Navy Yard, and I want to take you on a bike ride to today's Washington Nationals game. We're going to take the scenic route and cross not one, but two bridges on the way. So let's switch over to the GoPro on the front of my bike, and we'll get started.
And we're off. Let's go ahead and cross M Street, get to the bike lane, and then we will make our way over to today's Washington Nationals game. I do have tickets for today's game, and since I was in the area with my bike, and I do enjoy this bridge bike ride, I thought, why not take you along? It's a beautiful day and show you what it's like. So we could certainly have turned right at that intersection and gotten to the game a lot quicker, but yeah, let's go ahead and take the scenic route so I can show you what that looks like. Today is a beautiful day here in Washington, D.C. It's May 11th, 2025. It's Mother's Day, and it is about 75 degrees right now. Like I said, it is a beautiful day. The Washington Nationals, unfortunately, not having the best season. I believe their record as of right now is 17-23, so that's not great. That's below 500, but if memory serves me correct, that is just about the same record they had in 2019, the year that they won the World Series. So we'll see. Let's turn right here on 11th Street and make our way over to the first bridge. One of the things they don't have that they had in 2019 is Juan Soto or Max Scherzer or a star-studded roster. So yeah, we'll see. We have the Washington Navy Yard to my right. The Washington Navy Yard is one of the oldest places in the city. It was established in 1799. It played a big part in the War of 1812 when the British invaded Washington. And at the time, the Commodore of the Navy, Thomas Tingey, ordered that the entire Navy Yard be burned in order to prevent the Brits from capturing it. So the Brits, unfortunately, they did make it into the city. They did burn the Capitol and the White House in 1814. But the Navy Yard was burned before they arrived by its own sailors. So we're making our way down the bike lane over to the 11th Street Bridge. I'm going to pop up onto the sidewalk over here. So the 11th Street Bridge will be our first bridge today. There have been many bridges at this location over the years, basically since the 1800s when the Navy Yard was built. One of those bridges did play a role in the War of 1812. And it was also integral to the development of the neighborhoods on the other side of the river, on the east side of the river. The bridge that I'm on right now, it was rebuilt about a decade ago, and even though I'm calling it a bridge, singular, it's actually three bridges, so I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But first I want to pull off to one of these overlooks. So this bridge has two of these overlooks, and let me pop on a still photo of the view you can get from this overlook of the Anacostia River. I am a sucker for a good view. A good view doesn't always have to be up high. It doesn't have to be in the tallest building in the city. A good view just has to be a good view. So like I said, the bridge is actually three bridges. There are two for freeway traffic, and then this one, which is for local traffic, and it's also where the pedestrians, the bicyclists, and other local vehicles, the metro buses, will run across. Now the bridge, so this has been here for about a decade or so. Let me go ahead and turn right to get down to Anacostia Park, and whoa, it is overgrown over here. Anacostia Park is part of the National Park Service system, and is in, at least this part up here, is in desperate need of some landscaping and a good mow. So hopefully that happens soon, but for now we're making our way down into Anacostia Park. But when they rebuilt the 11th Street Bridge about a decade ago, they left the supports from the old bridge in place, and the plan is to eventually build what's called the 11th Street Bridge Park to connect the two sides of the river. And this will not be a vehicle bridge. This will be, it's being described as like a whole full-blown community, and not just a bridge, not just something used for transportation. The inspiration for it is actually the High Line in New York City. which if you've been to New York and are familiar with, was an old an elevated rail line that once they stopped running trains on it, they turned into a beautiful park. It is amazing. I've been there many times, and it's almost a victim of its own success. It's so crowded and busy all of the time. Anyway, let's make our way through Anacostia Park, which is one of Washington, D.C.'s largest green spaces. It is much larger than the section I'm going to show you today. It is, like I said, operated and managed by the National Park Service. To my left right now is what's called the Eagle's Nest, which is the headquarters of the U.S. Park Police helicopter unit. And so the Park Police are one of the few departments that does have a helicopter, and they will use it, and other departments will ask them, if they could, I guess, borrow it, to help out with whatever they need it for. But it is typically, you'll see the takeoffs and landings from over here in this park. Also in that area is the headquarters for the National Capital Park's East Division. So that is a part of the National Park Service that is distinct from the National Mall and Memorial Parks, which is where I spend most of my time as a tour guide, and where as a tourist you will also spend most of your time. And so for that reason, the parks like this one tend to get a bit overlooked, especially by tourists. But in my opinion, it's a beautiful, very nice park. It is much less crowded and much less busy than the Mount Vernon Trail, where I did a bike ride last year. So if you like these bike rides and you'd like to see another one of these parks, check out my ride of the Mount Vernon Trail, which is technically part of the George Washington Parkway, another one of these National Park Service units. A friend of mine is a runner, and he used to do these big loops through the parks and would run on this part of the park all the time. And he said he would frequently see high-profile Nationals players, I won't name who he used to see, going for a run in this park or working out in this park. And once he did stop and talk to them and asked, well, why do you come over here to do your workouts? And the players said that it was a lot quieter than some of the other parts of the city where one might go to work out or to go for a run. So I think that's pretty interesting. We are approaching the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. This is a beautiful new bridge. It opened in 2021. Its purpose is to replace an old aging bridge from the 1950s, an old swing bridge that had become functionally obsolete, meaning that basically it could no longer swing, or I guess easily swing. There used to be a boat parked over at the Navy Yard, and it was just kind of it had become a bit of a tourist attraction. Unfortunately, it had to be removed because once this bridge was built, this bridge does not swing or go up and down like the old one did, so they had to take out the boat over there in order to build this one so that boat wouldn't get trapped in there. Interesting to me is that when this bridge opened in 2021, it had no bus service on it. So Metro buses go across the 11th Street Bridge, they go across other bridges, but not on this one. I'm going to pull off quickly to one of the overlook areas. The overlook areas here are arguably even more spectacular than the ones over on 11th Street, but they're both quite nice. So I said there were no Metro buses when this bridge first opened, and that will soon be changing because Metro Bus is redoing its network. The new network will debut at the end of June, and that new network will have Metro buses that travel over this bridge. So quite interesting. And the reason we're taking bridges is because we're over the Anacostia River. The Anacostia River is about 8 miles long. This is one end of it. The other end of it is about 8 miles up to the north, closer to Maryland. And a lot of people see a body of water in Washington, D.C., especially a lot of tourists, and they call it the Potomac River. And there are many bodies of water in Washington, D.C. They are not all the Potomac River, and here's a great example of that. It's unfortunately known as being a rather polluted river. It was once considered one of the most polluted rivers in all of the United States. And despite its troubled history, it's still home to birds, bald eagles, beavers, turtles, migratory fish. You can go kayaking on the river, fishing, canoeing, although if you do fish, I wouldn't recommend eating anything that you catch. I actually do like kayaking on the river, and I think the Anacostia is a better place for beginners to kayak because it's much more chill than trying to kayak over by the wharf by all those big boats and all the other traffic that's on the water over there. So we're going to make our way over to the Nationals Park Bike Valet. Of course, what is this person doing? As I always complain about when I do a walk or a ride around the city, can't avoid terrible driving in Washington, D.C. But around the bend, we're almost there, is the Nationals Park Bike Valet. When Nationals Park opened in 2008, it received the LEED Silver certification, which I think was one of the first MLB ballparks to receive that certification. And I think part of that was the fact that they were either the first or one of the first ballparks or stadiums to have a dedicated bicycle valet. So that is where I am going to put my bike. I'm about an hour and a half early for the game, so that's why there aren't too many others out here yet. But I wanted to get to the game early so I could make this video, but also because the Nationals have a pregame happy hour this year where you can get $5 cans of Budweiser, Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, or non-alcoholic Michelob Ultra. And as much as people always love to complain about how ball games are so expensive, beer is so expensive, well, if you know some of the tricks, then you can get the deals, and the happy hour is, in my opinion, one of my favorite tips and tricks. So I'm nearly there. I actually need to get to the other side of the street to get to the bike valet, but I am going to wrap up the recording now. It was only about a 10-minute ride, and so obviously not too bad. Quite scenic, beautiful day for a bike ride, and a beautiful day for a baseball game. And I want to thank you for watching this one. And if you want to see other bike rides or suggest a bike ride that you'd like me to do, go ahead and leave it down in a comment. And otherwise, as I say at the end of all of these, enjoy your trip.